Welcome to the club. It's one of the more exclusive clubs in town. It's the Bentley Continental GT V8 club. Price of membership, $360,000. $360,000 you say? Sounds like a lot. It is a lot. But then again, the Bentley Continental GT V8 is a lot of car. For a start, it's 4.8 meters long, 2.3 meters wide, and it weighs 2.3 tons near enough. But it's got 4 seats. Anything that weighs 2.3 tons needs a bit of shove to get it moving down the road. But fortunately, the 4-litre twin-turbo V8 engine in this car is capable of all of that shove. It puts out 373 kilowatts, which is about pretty much 500 brake horsepower on the old money, and 660 newton meters of torque. And that 660 newton meters is on tap from 1700 RPM. I mean, that's just a shade over idle speed. All of that motive force is able to lift up this big car and hurl it down the road 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 4.8 seconds. Or if you want to have even bigger bragging rights in the pub, use the imperial measurement, 0 to 60 miles an hour, 4.6 seconds. And if you're really committed and on the right road, you can press on to 305 kilometers an hour top speed. That's very fast for a building this size. It has a permanent all-wheel drive system, which is probably just as well because those 275/35 ZR21 Pirelli P0s on the back look particularly expensive. So I'm pleased the front wheels are also sharing the load of all this tractive power. It has an 8-speed automatic transmission, which is accessed through this lovely knurled knob down in the middle here, or these large paddles behind the steering wheel. Now these paddles are actually mounted to the steering column, so no matter where you are on the circumference of the steering wheel, the paddles are always right there at your fingertips on the horizontal plane. And they too have a kind of knurled finish to them, which makes them just a real pleasure to touch. Left in full auto mode, I found the transmission very smooth and creamy, as you might expect from a car of this caliber. It just wafts along when it's left to its own devices. I mean, 100 kilometers an hour in 8th is about 1400 RPM. But kick it down and the car will bark into life, pick up its skirts and power you down the road with quite a bit of theatre. It's got air suspension, and that is tunable to lift the car over speed bumps or low driveways, or when you're coming into curbs you can elevate the car a bit. You also have adjustable dampers, which you can choose between comfort and sport on a sliding scale. Heated and cooled seats, a lovely Breitling clock. It does have a real sense of majesty about it. Why, thank you, good man. All is right with the world. I love some of the little idiosyncrasies of the Bentley. You know, the digital speedometer has current speed written above it. I mean, it could say current speed sir or current speed ma'am, but current speed is still pretty classy. And also, when you put it in reverse and the rear camera lights up on the dash here, it says, ensure it is safe to maneuver. You know, nice classy way of talking to you. I really like that. This particular example is fitted up with about $20,000 of Bentley extras. Now, they're proper Bentley extras. It's the black kit, it's the black stripes, it's the black tail light and headlight surrounds, it's this lovely contrast stitching on the leather here, it's the dark burr walnut dashboard, it's this lovely knurled gear lever, it's these deep, plush, thick pile carpets on the floor mats here, and it's also got a sports exhaust. So $20,000 worth of extras that are designed by Bentley for Bentley, so they look the proper part on a Bentley, and that's all thrown in with your price. So what a deal. If I had to give this car a personality, or liken it to a particular person, I guess I'd say Sir Winston Churchill. Like Winston, it's kind of got that gruff British bulldog feel. It's kind of menacing in a way, and because this car has the optional $20,000 of black trim and those sports exhaust mufflers on the back, in this instance Sir Winston's had ink done on his arms. He's got a stud through that stiff upper lip, and from his ear dangles a razor blade earring. The exhaust has got that gruff authority to it. It's like, out of my way, don't argue with me. And yeah, Mercs and Beamers and Audis may be faster and significantly cheaper, but there's nothing like the presence that this car has. This is a Grand Tourer car. It's not a back road blaster. It's just too big and too heavy for that. But the all-wheel drive system gives you great surety that you're going to stick to the road unless you go and do something completely stupid. So it does feel sure-footed, and traction is never a problem. Many cars I test suffer from wind noise and tyre noise at higher speeds, so I have to consciously make sure that any bits of dialogue that I record on the camera, I'm usually doing at slower speeds so that it can be clearly heard. No problem with that in this car. You can waft along at 100 kilometers an hour on pretty much any road surface, even our crappy coarse chip roads, and there's very little consequence of that. It's all very muted and refined in here. Part of that is due to the fact that there's double glazing on the glass. It really insulates you from all that icky stuff outside. Nice. It's such a tranquil place to be. It's like riding around in a library, but the library can do 305 kilometers an hour. Wow. The most rewarding part of this car is the way it covers ground. It just hoovers up landscape like nothing else I've ever driven. The little aerofoil spoiler that comes up out of the bottom of the back window, it's supposed to come up at some speed that I haven't yet found, because our speed limit here on the open road is 100 kilometers an hour, and even slightly above that speed I still haven't seen it deploy. But I can show it to you by simply pushing that little button. Of course, like any car, there are some negative points. There are back seats there, but it requires a certain amount of patience to get in and out of the back seat, and once you are sitting there, although the backs of the front seats are scalloped around where your knees would be, there's still not a hell lot of room there. Particularly headroom's compromised, so be careful about who you ask to go along with you in the back of the car for any distance. The Continental GT came out in 2003, which is eons ago now. This Generation 2 came out in 2010, and the new Generation 3 is just about to come out now and will be on our streets in 2018. So inside, it's definitely showing its age. Some of the buttons and certainly the center screen are yesterday's technology. It's amazing how these electronic bits are really the only things that date the car. If you ripped out this large screen in the middle here and put in a Samsung Galaxy 8 Plus, you'd probably feel like the car was pretty much contemporary with technology. But as it is, the head unit here is slow to navigate. It's pretty much monochromatic in color scheme, and the functionality is just not up with current thinking. I love the car because it's got such a strong sense of itself. It's not trying to conform to any conventions. It certainly doesn't have all the modern technology and infographics that you'd expect from a car from 2017. But what it does have is it has a whole bunch of character, a whole bunch of personality, and a whole bunch of menacing presence that no other car that I know has. So whether you're into precious metal or heavy metal, you might want to check out the Continental GT V8, because although it's a lot of money, you do get an awful lot of car.